Here in northern Colorado, our Western heritage is all around us. Among those capturing and preserving the Old West and the Pioneer era are the Overland Trail Museum in Sterling, Colorado, and the nearby Fleming Museum.
The Overland Trail Museum was opened in 1936, and it was built specifically to be a local history museum. Originally, it just started with the main building. It was very, very small, very tiny, just one room. The exterior was designed to somewhat resemble Fort Sedgwick, which is located near Julesburg, about 50 miles east of here. The interior is really interesting. There's a lot of river rock, similar to the work that the WPA did at other locations. And probably the most interesting feature of the original building is the mantle and the fireplace. That's all petrified wood that came from a site near Stoneham. We have 13 buildings which are either replicas or removed here. Most of them are authentic buildings which all came from within about a 30-mile radius of Sterling. We have 2 barns, this general store, a concrete block house. There's a one-room schoolhouse, a church, a caboose, a train depot, and a signal shack. And those are all authentic buildings, all moved out here. They're great additions to the museum and very interesting. The barbershop is actually a replica of the barbershop in Haxton, Colorado. It was set to be moved up here. It's a concrete building, however, and it was cost prohibitive. So the replica was built and the contents were moved here. Some of the really great exhibits at our museum would be the buildings, the outbuildings that were moved here. In particular, this general store. This general store was open for a total of 47 years. It was opened in 1915 and it was in operation until 1962. This store was located in Daly, about 25 miles east of here. One woman actually ran this store with the assistance of her sons during that time. She was open 7 days a week. She also had a lunch counter and was the postmaster. But it's really wonderful. It's a slice of history. Kids love to come in here. We have a lot of interesting things. They always ask about the rope and the floor. They actually sold the rope. They put it in the crawl space underneath the floor and pulled it up through the floor and cut it to length for their customers. Kids enjoy looking at all the different products we have. A lot of these items, many of them, were actually around over 100 years ago and are still in use today. Quaker Oats, Jell-O, Schilling Spices, just to name a few. So that's really interesting for kids and adults to come in here. Of course, we always get adults coming in saying, you know, I used that when I was a kid. So we get those comments quite a bit. So it's really a slice of Americana. We have a wonderful mural exhibit out in one of our machine sheds outside. There's several freestanding panels. On both sides of the panels are murals of agricultural scenes from the Crook area. Lifelong bachelor brothers called the Brickle Brothers actually donated some money to the Logan County Historical Society, and that money was used to create this exhibit. And then the entire back wall of that machine shed's also painted. It has a wonderful agricultural scene. So that's been a great addition to the museum. Folks who have been here before often ask if we still have the two-headed calf. It's a children's favorite. They absolutely love the two-headed calf. Every school group that comes through, their most requested exhibit that they want to see before they leave the museum is the two-headed calf. And that's located in the 2-story red barn on the eastern part of the grounds. The two-headed calf was found in a farmer's field near Peets, Colorado, which is north of Sterling. The farmer brought it into Sterling, donated it to St. Anthony's High School. The biology class there actually performed an autopsy on the two-headed calf. Then after performing the autopsy, they sewed her up, removed the organs, preserved her, put her, and it is a female, put her in a case and presented her to the museum, and we've had her ever since. And that was back in the 60s, so she's been out here for several decades now. The Overland Trail Museum's a great place for families. We have a lot of activities for the kids, but we have a lot of history here, a lot of interesting exhibits. Kids and parents can learn together. It's a step back in time. It allows children to learn things that they've probably never been exposed to before, and also may remind folks of some things from their childhood. It's definitely worth your while to come out to the museum and check it out.
The Overland Trail Museum commemorates the historic westward migration of gold seekers and early pioneers. Come join us for a nostalgic trip to your own past, no matter where you come from. And while you're there, take the short drive to visit the Fleming Museum, a lovely hometown museum in a unique two-story train depot.
Our pride and joy here in Fleming is our depot. It was moved from across the road over by the other elevator, and we painted it to historical colors. We had brochures from the railroad company, so we'd know exactly what color to paint it. We thought it was kind of odd having the bright gold, but that is what it was. We also have a museum. It's an old schoolhouse and was used for the kindergarten class in Fleming for a while. Everything in our museum was donated by local people, so it's all local items. It tells a history of our town. We have things from saddles to equipment that they used to use to farm back then. A lot of old historical home items. We even have the original telephone operator's booth. We do have a two-story depot here, and upstairs is set up like they used to live in it a long time ago. And they definitely did live up there and run the railroad station. It never had running water, never had electricity, and there is no bathroom, there is no sink, and they had to haul their water up those stairs. They're very steep stairs, but it gives you a perspective of how they lived. They had to have a wood stove to keep themselves warm. And again, they had a wood stove in the depot to keep the depot warm. But it's got to be a lot different than what you're used to now. There is an outhouse that sits out back here. That is the original outhouse for the depot. No longer in use, of course. It's a real interesting thing to see how people used to live. It wasn't easy. And sometimes we think life isn't easy. It wasn't easy back then. They had to work to live.